Hi, Sana.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes. How are you, Sana?
I'm good, and you?
Good. So I guess we're live now. That's great. To everyone out there, I just want to say hello. I am Malle. I am CEO, co-founder, and daily manager of the European organization Women in Live Music, which I from now on will pronounce as WILM. I'm a live sound engineer. I'm based in Denmark. And behind WILM, there is a team of about 10 people. One of them is here as well, and that's you, Sana. You are in Beirut in Lebanon. You're also a live sound engineer. And maybe you can tell a little bit about yourself.
Well, hello to everyone first. My name is Romanos, and I'm a live sound engineer and a tour project manager based in Beirut, Lebanon. I do basically tours and festivals in the region and in Europe. And I'm also a WILM's communication manager, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and to you, there is this special feature that I think you're still the only female Arabic live sound engineer in the Middle East, right?
Yes, doing this on a professional level, I remain the only one in the region who does this.
Right. So this is an issue that we will dig into, which concerns diversity, because even despite of the name Women in Live Music, we're about diversity. That means we include all minorities. And I have to tell you that Women in Live Music is for those behind the stage. So that's the management, the technician, the production managers, tour managers, riggers, stagehands, catering, truck drivers, all those who make a live event happen. Back when I co-founded Women in Live Music together with Hannah Broderick, she's also a live sound engineer based in the UK. We were part of Sound Girls back then. And we had the trouble that we couldn't really relate to theater and broadcast and studio sound that much as we could to our other colleagues in live music, like the tour managers and the backliners. And we could see that there was a need to create a platform for women. We were focusing on women, of course, because obviously we're women and we wanted to connect and network with other women in the industry. But again, like I said, Women in Live Music is for everyone who feels the need to be on board. They're very welcome in our community. And we kind of saw that there was a need to try and gather everyone behind the scene on one platform. All the females. So in 2017, November, we left Sound Girls, which is a great organization as well. But we went on to form Women in Live Music, which is only limit to Europe, because for us, it's important to go out and interact live with our members as well. And Sound Girls is global. So it could be hard to meet up with someone from Japan. So with Women in Live Music, we had a chance to kind of narrow in where our members are coming from, even though we're open to the whole world. And we do have members from Australia and from the States and from South America and so on. So that's great too. When we first started Women in Live Music, Hannah and I, we thought that after 6 months, our job would be done. We couldn't have been more wrong. After a year, we could see, or after a couple of years, we're now in our 4th year, and we could see that we would have plenty to do in our effort to increase diversity backstage for the next 6, 8 to 10 years. I just read a number the other day saying that in Europe, the amount of people working behind the stage, all those people behind live events, is a number of 7.8 million people. And we have been saying the whole time that we estimate that there are about 10% of those people that are women. that means that, if I'm correct, that should be 780,000 women, right? Sana, you're right with me on that. That should be almost 1 million women.
Yeah.
But that is definitely not the case. I think the total amount of professional women in the live event industry is probably close to 100,000 if we're optimistic. So there's no doubt there is plenty of work ahead of us to increase diversity. But, and let me ask you this, Sana, that why do you think there are so few women out there in our industry?
I don't think, in my personal opinion, and I think it's the vision we share with WILM, is that I don't think there are anyone in the business, have it being male or female or manufacturers or key people in the industry, who do not want more women. It's just, I think, the result of century-old beliefs and systems that were put in place. And it's not just about sound, it's about women and technology in general. And this is what makes that women shy away from this field. They're afraid of anything that has to do with technology and science and machines, the big mixers, that's scary maybe. So this is where we come in to, I think, WILM, and this is why I joined WILM personally, is to show that, no, this is not the case. It's not scary, and it is possible for women to do this. And there are amazing women doing this. And our job at WILM is to, first and foremost, highlight these women through several means, which we're going to talk about in a bit, but also encourage the women to stay in the field and empower them. As simple as that.
Yeah, and we met up through a sound system optimization workshop that Hannah and I were organizing through Sound Girls back then in the days, and you've been with us ever since. So that's great.
It was fascinating for me to meet other women, just to note this, that up until then I had been working for the field for 5 years, I think, or more or less. And it was fascinating. I was like so excited that I was meeting other women in the field. And when I met Malle and Hannah, I was holding on to them because it was fascinating for me that other women were doing this. And this is, I think, one of the main purposes of WILM, is to connect us and to make us exposed to each other first, and then to the rest of the industry after.
Yeah, and that makes me think of a funny story from the United States when I was attending NAMM, I think like 4 or 5 years ago in Anaheim. I went to a dental workshop with, I think like 6 other sound girls. And in the break, we all went to the loo, because that's what girls do. They go together to the bathroom in the break. And on the way, this other girl were passing us, and we were all live sound engineers. And this girl was passing us, and obviously she was also visiting this dental workshop. And, you know, when we went by, we didn't know her, but we were all like high-five each other. And then we were like, hey, who are you? Who are you? Because there's so few women that you will know them all. And if you don't know them, you will instantly like connect with them, because it's like meeting your unknowing sister. It turns out that she was working with broadcast. But yeah, that's how few we are. But we created WILM, it's over 3 years ago. And I just want to share a screen with you, a slide with you. Let me see, a share screen. This is, yep, let me see. I need to click on that one, and then I need to click here. It's a little, there we go. And then we need to go here, and then we need to go there. There we go. So we went on there January 2018. What we do is we work for diversity backstage, and that means the management, the stage crew, the technicians, and yeah, like I said before, like everyone who are part of a live event production. And now I said before that we thought that our job would be done in 6 months' time, that nobody would have an interest in us anymore. But now we have almost 4,000 members in our community from all over Europe. and part of the rest of the world. They are very active in, for instance, our Facebook group. There's daily an exchange of stories and professional tips and job offers and tips on webinars and etc. And so that brings me back to you, Sanna, because you have, hold on a sec, I just need to come down to, back to you again, yeah. So there's a lot of things that you have to click on in order to get through here. I know that we got some questions, so let's just look at that. So there is one from Samantha. That's the first one, I believe. Samantha is asking, despite being underrepresented, do you think women working backstage in the industry get the same volume of opportunity as men? What do you say, Sanna?
I think, well, it's a yes and a no. A no in the sense that they are underrepresented, so ultimately they won't get the same amount of opportunities. But then it goes back to how hard you work. I mean, for me, the harder you work, the more reputation you have, the more you will have opportunities. But it is a fact that we need to work 10 times harder. And I know that for me, that was the case. I needed to work 10 times harder to prove myself 10 times harder, or to disprove this low expectation that people had of me, because I was the first woman doing this in the Middle East. So I had to work 10 times harder. But when I did and I got the reputation, I have just as much opportunities as any male counterpart in the region now, even though it's a very hostile region for women. So I think that it is hard at the beginning, and no, we do not have as much opportunities as the male counterparts, but when you work hard and you prove yourself, then it becomes more of an equal situation, if we can say equal.
Yeah, and I think as well, another aspect is also that now I've been in this field working for diversity for 8 years now, and I see that women also get judged way harder and way faster than the guys. What is your opinion on that?
Yeah, we have a huge spotlight on us because we're women. That's a fact, and more often than not, because it is. I don't think it's always bad intentions. I just think it's the effect of the system that people assume that we're going to fail and drop out. So, but again, if I mean, I'm going to speak for myself. If you're convinced of what you're doing and you really love what you do, then you rise above all of this and you prove yourself in a way that can never, that people can never underestimate you again. I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, it does, but I experience a lot because I see it among young people as well, like very young people, that they haven't seen a female engineer before.
Yes.
And especially for artists, and especially for female artists, for them it's something strange. So it kind of shakes their world a little bit. So they, if they're already, a bit tense about their performance, and then they have to work with a female engineer they haven't seen before, I definitely feel that they don't feel comfortable. They don't really have to trust. And I experience so often that afterwards they'll come and they'll hug me and they'll say, "Oh, we made it," because they honestly didn't think that this could go well with a female engineer because they haven't seen one before. So to them, it's like, can she do it? So I see that the issue that, for instance, female technicians, this could also be for female tour managers or female backliners, that this lack of trust in them, that comes from women as well, and also for the younger generation. So no doubt there's really a lot of work for us ahead. But there's a question here from Paddy, and Paddy, he's asking, Sanna, you said that some women are scared of technology. What do you think is the reason for that?
I'm just going to add one thing on the point we just talked about, is that this is where our responsibility as the women who are now working in the field, this is our responsibility to break this stigma about women. And it's a responsibility that I personally take very seriously to at least attempt to break this every time I meet a band or an artist that is has some kind of fears concerning being a woman. This is where you have to step up. I think it's a very big responsibility for us now, the women working now, to pave the way for the women who will come after and make it easier for them. To answer Patty, why I think it's because it's a field that has always been related to men, that men are the smartest and they have the more mental capabilities to do math, to do physics, to do engineering, and to add to this, our field where you have to actually have certain physical strength and to be able to hold on for 18 hours straight, to carry heavy stuff, or all of that. So I think it's a result of just the society being what it is, have it being in the society here in my region or even in Europe. I think it's the same everywhere. And it's our job now to break these set rules and to focus on the young women who are shying away from entering the field because they think that technology is not for them and they're not supposed to be doing this. And this is where WILM is trying its best to target these young women, to offer them a kind of gate into this industry through workshops, through mentorship, through camps. I think Malle can talk more about that. But yeah, this is our responsibility here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, definitely. Well, that is the philosophy for WILM, is that we think that it's also for the women to step up and make a change of mindset, definitely. So we actually we in WILM we pointed out 3 bullet points that why there are so few women in the industry. And first of all, like you mentioned, it's a lack of role models. I remember when I went into the industry, and I really honestly thought that only men could mix live shows. And it took me about 20 years to figure out that a woman can do it too. So we need more role models out there. And then there's also, we need more, as you say, we need a bigger, a better introduction to the technical and the engineering fields in our industry. But then also, again, there is something for us women and other minorities to do as well, is that we need to put this pressure we put on ourselves, to put that aside and believe in that we are good enough for what we're doing. But Sanna, I know you, first of all, because I want you to get a slide ready, and then I want you to tell a little bit about WILM's activities, what we do in terms of increasing diversity. First of all, I just want to say that we had some technical issues here. So I'm actually using Alanna's PC. And Alanna, let me introduce you to Alanna. She's checking the chats. This is Alanna.
Hi, hello.
And Alanna is a dear friend of WILM team. She sometimes helps us out with surveys and projects. But what she really does is she's a video operator. And she's freelancing in Finland, Scotland, and Denmark, but she's also originally French. So, and I want to speak to Alanna in a couple of minutes about this report that we made called Motherhood Combined with a Career in Live Music, because that's an interesting topic. But first of all, Sanna, you have a, yeah, and I'm Malle Kaas, by the way. You have a slide, Sanna.
Yes, so we see that at WILM, we see that talking about the issues is very important, of course, to highlight how women make up a small percentage and how we are underrepresented. But if we don't do something about it, then it won't change. So allow me to share a screen with you.
Yeah, you have to press a lot of buttons.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't expect all of that. All right, it should be good. Okay, so here we have the crew list. I don't know if you can see it.
It was there, but then it disappeared.
How about now?
Yep, now I can see it.
So our crew list is something we created at WILM, which is a kind of inventory, if we can call that, where women can go in, enlist their profiles, their professional profiles, where they work, their country. And this inventory, well, employers like festivals or bands or tours, production managers, anyone interested in adding female members to their teams can go in on this crew list and research these women in all the fields of the industry, have it being sound or light or wardrobe. I think we have almost everything on there. And so far we have more than 250 professional profiles all over Europe. So this is basically the concept of our crew list. And I think I should move forward, Malle, and talk about the events that we have done.
Yeah, please do so.
So far we have more than 40 events in 8
there we go.
Oh, there's a delay?
Yeah, now the slides is on.
Okay. So we have done more than 40 events in 8 European countries with more than 1,000 attendees so far. And that was, of course, pre-COVID. Post-COVID, we adapted into a more online-friendly format with webinars and panels done online. And most of these events have mostly been focused on education, of course, to educate and empower the women who are already working the field, but also focusing on the young women, as I mentioned before, who are interested in entering this field and offering them a gateway into this this industry with workshops tailored for young girls. I think Malle did a camp a couple of years ago for young women back in Denmark, if I'm not mistaken, Malle, right?
Yeah, we've done a couple of festivals projects in total, yeah.
Exactly. But also the main purpose of our events is not only education, but it's also networking, where our members can get together, meet each other, and create a sort of a supportive community around WILM. Because I think the particularities of the difficulties that women encounter in the field are very particular to females. We do have problems that are common amongst all of the colleagues, but I think a more female-oriented community is very much needed. So these women can interact, can share experiences, can share anything, basically.
And definitely, we've seen a lot of long-lasting friendships being built out there. They're so great that women, they feel like they found a family and suddenly they're not abandoned, isolated. Exactly. And so on, this feeling that you often have when you belong to a minority. And there is a question, and I would like Alanna to answer that one, and it's from Joe Meyer. Who says people don't often want to put their hands up and advocate gender equality in case they are labeled difficult or worry about having repercussions, consequences on your career, current work. What advices could you offer? And that is so true. We just want to really stress out that for women in live music, it's not a matter about that men needs to move over and give the spot to women. That's not what we are about. We are about to increase women's skills and trust in themselves so they would go out and get the job, but they need to do it on the same terms of men. We really need to stress that out. But how would you answer this question from Joe?
I think you started there. It's very important the way that you bring your message forward and, you know, kind of step away from only girls should be on this job and that kind of thing. So it really depends on how you bring the women to the job and how you suggest that you will include them to the workspace, to not scare them in a way and to not think that you want their place and all that kind of thing. I personally never had a problem promoting myself or other ladies at work. I think it also depends, like Sana said, on your reputation and if you're good at your job and you have those ideas that you would like to see more women at work. Of course, they will still want you at work because they cannot do the show without you. So it's about choosing your words and choosing your fight. And of course, it really depends on who you are.
Yeah, but I also think it's definitely reputation is everything. That goes for both men and women. And and as I mentioned before, women has to prove themselves harder than men, and that's how it is right now. But the more women we get, the more normalized it would be to have women on board. So that will eventually happen, especially when you have communities like Women in Live Music, where women can find each other, motivate and inspire and support each other. Then this group will automatically, over time, increase and stabilize. But that takes time, and we reckon that would take, like, we have years ahead, especially because of the crisis right now where nobody has work. I mean, with maybe 5% women, the chances for asking a woman for the job is pretty small, I would say. We don't have much time, so I would really like, wait a second, there is Joseph, what is his, thank you. Off the list somehow. I'm not sure if I understand the, and Joe, thank you for your question. Well, before, you could maybe tell a little bit about the motherhood report we made.
Yes.
And why we made that report is perhaps really important to say first.
It is very important as well. So through the last few years of WILM being active, there has been some encounters with awesome technicians out there who were also moms. And of course, discussions about wanting or not to have children with fellow female technicians, and that has raised a lot of questions for WILM and also for me on a more personal level. So last year we conducted a survey with our members about their thoughts and worries about being a mom on the job or wanting to become a mother in pregnancy, and we got some pretty interesting and very sad results, actually, to this survey.
Yeah, because we have these incidents where we would hear about women who would either postpone a pregnancy until they were no longer in the live event industry, which could increase their chance of getting pregnant when they finally want a baby. But also we saw women who was hiding their pregnancy because they were afraid of not being hired, and they were afraid not being hired back. There's a book coming out by Tana Douglas. She was the first female roadie, and she told that when she had her son, she would even hide her son away from her colleagues because she was afraid that she wouldn't be asked for work. And that is 40 years ago. And that's still the case today. And we're becoming more women. So this is definitely something we need to look into, right?
Yeah, definitely. Well, we've been asking women all kinds of questions. Like, we had those 3 categories of women who didn't have children and were considering a pregnancy, and how they would feel about their career and how it would affect them and their work and their fears and worries and questions. And then interestingly enough, the second segment was already mothers. There was a majority of the survey respondees were already moms, and they have shared their experiences, past and present, and had a lot to say about how they brought their pregnancy into the job. And yeah, crushingly enough, a lot have been forced to hide it because some women around them had experienced not getting called for work anymore, or the stigma of having a pregnant lady on the job. So those are also very interesting to say. And then the third group was the ladies who decided to not have children, and we were interested in knowing whether this was affected by the career, or was it a personal choice, or was it a little bit of both. And yeah, the job has been definitely something on a lot of women's minds when deciding not to get children. So out of this survey, we've raised a few, or selected the worst problems, and then asked for possible solutions and what those women would have liked to know and what would make their pregnancy and motherhood easier on the job. And yeah, we wrote this report with.
And what would be the solutions to open up for the opportunity to have pregnant crew members on board and babies on tour? Like, what could the solutions be, and who needs to change something? Who needs to make the first step here?
Well, we already discussed about having a first step in 3 different discussions. So of course the women in between them should network and share how it's done, because like I mentioned, a lot of the women who answered the survey were already moms and had experience in doing this, whether it went really well or really bad. So definitely a discussion between women and moms is very important. And then, of course, bringing the discussion up to the venues and the employers, because they
could do, actually the festivals and the venues could do a lot to welcome pregnant women and babies on tour. Actually, we saw last time Roskilde Festival happened, they had the 6 female engineers on their team, and 2 of them were pregnant. She was in 4th month. She actually mixed an arena show for 17,000 people when she was 9 months pregnant. And the other one on Roskilde Festival doing monitor, she was 7 months pregnant. No problem at all. Of course, they couldn't move around the monitors, so they would have, the stagehands to do a little bit of extra work. But it was no problem for these women to stay a whole week on a very busy high-end festival. That was not an issue at all. So it is possible to have female crews out there, but there was more issues.
Some of the things that the women mentioned was the crazy schedules, the timings, the bathrooms that were not adapted to changing nappies or breastfeeding, not having any breaks, which is a big problem in our industry, and on live events, very short breaks, and that doesn't leave any space for baby management. So discussion with the employers and with the event organizers to make space to bring children, have possible chaperones hired to take care of the kids. It has been done in theater a lot. Why not on big music productions or in festivals where it would be not very easy, but it would be possible to arrange a kindergarten area.
Yeah, exactly.
For example.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah. And then comes the other thing, that all this costs money for the employers and the venues and the organizers. So then bring the discussion up to unions and governments maybe, and trying to find funds for all of this, because it can be very daunting for a single mother technician, not single, but just an employee, come to the employer and ask for an extra plane ticket for the nanny and extra bookings at the hotel, and it's all a crazy amount of money. So if there was institutions that the employers could go to and apply for a fund to keep these women in the loop, it would really help all the moms out there.
Yeah, and that is possible is that Jessica, who was mixing this arena show 9 months pregnant, she actually came back from maternity leave half year later, still mixing shows, having her son with her and breastfeeding him whenever she could. And we did a project, WILM did a project with Spot Festival a couple of years ago, where the LD, the lighting designer, she had a 4-month-old baby with her, and she would just what is it called? I'm not a mom myself, but she was pumping out milk, between shows or doing shows, and then the father would come by now and then and pick up the milk that was in the fridge in the production office. So it's possible, and we need to make some space. We need to create some opportunities that it's possible for women to stay in the industry despite of motherhood. I need to get back because I don't know how much time we got, but we have some questions, right? Oh, there's a Julian who worked on festivals that has set up kindergartens. Way to go. Very good option.
That's
absolutely.
Cool.
And Samantha is saying, my experience, working moms are often the most productive and organized members of the team. That's true. That goes back to the Stone Age, because they were back home organizing everything. I don't know. That was a joke, actually. And Sana, you answered Joseph. What did you answer, Joseph?
Well, Joseph was asking about the how we're selected for festivals and events. And I just said it's just the normal networking and just the reputation that gets you in or out of a festival, but that there are organizations working on making it more of a balanced selection, like Key Change that I mentioned here. I don't know if that clears it out for you, Joseph.
Well, Key Change is only for artists on stage, but then again, go and visit WILM's website, where you'll find a crew list where you can find high qualified, dedicated and talented female crew members for all positions within a live event productions. Yeah. So I just want to mention one thing that WILM is working on, because I don't know how much time we got, actually. I have a feeling we went over time, but I mean, we have so much to talk about still. But anyway, I would like to mention that, wait a second, we have a question. Do you think the COVID situation has improved or worsened the position of women in live event industry? Definitely worsened it. I think that our position has been thrown back some years. Because, as I just mentioned, Tana Douglas was the first female roadie out there 40 years ago, and the issues that she went through, we're still experiencing those issues today. And with the few jobs that are out there right now, with only, let's say, 5-7% of women, there's not that big of a chance that a woman would get picked for the job. So I think, yeah, it would take a while for us to get really back out there again.
But could I add, though, at least we get the time to discuss these issues. We have been active doing that, and I think of course, it's not ideal, but it's been a good opportunity to spread the word and actually take the time to talk with the male colleagues out there. A lot of them are also not at work at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And again, for us, networking is absolutely a key word. And that's also why we love to be at trade shows like ISE when they're happening. And we hope so much that we can visit ISE in June when it happens in Barcelona. Because to us, that's, first of all, it's an opportunity to invite our members and maybe someone they know, invite them onto the trade show. And first of all, meet other women, because the trade show create a spot for us where we could meet up with members. So that's really given to us. But also trade shows, when it comes to the technical field of live event productions, that's an excellent place to go and check out stuff, and you will have you will check out new gear. You have sales representatives that can, introduce you to the stuff, and you can have some tech support on the spot. There's a lot to learn when you visit these trade shows. So we're a big fan of trade shows like ISE, and also, well, yeah. It's just this thing that you can, go out and meet the manufacturers. We think that is so important, that we meet the manufacturers, that we meet the people behind the products, get to know them well, but also that they get to know us. And we have big success with that. We have great partnerships with Shure microphones and with Alan Heed and with D&B Audio Technique and so on. There's a lot of great people out there supporting us and supporting our work. And that brings it to that a couple of years ago, we actually went around to different manufacturers, and we were asking them, how does it look in, among your sales representatives in the research department? Do you have any women there? And they were all saying the same thing. We don't have women. Well, now they do, but back then it was like, we don't really have any, but we would love to have some, but we don't receive any application for women. And that brings back to what you said earlier, Sana, that we need to introduce young people, young women to the technical field, to engineering, to the different educations that are out there, but also to the job skills that we have. We definitely need to invite them in on that. And luckily, manufacturers is doing a great work to help us in that work as well. Yeah. Do you have more questions? No, not so far. But I could see, and this pleased me a lot, I could see that on the chat there are men participating in this as well, and we're so happy about that. Normally when we do a panel or interviews, we like to interact with men, so people can see it's not just about women for women. Actually, we want the opposite. We definitely want men on board, because if we do it women for women, then it would be an exclusive club, and that's not really what we want. We want everybody to feel included, especially our male colleagues. I mean, I was taught by men, and Sanna, your colleagues are all men.
Yeah. And my mentor is a man also. This is not a fight against anyone. This is more inclusion than exclusion. We just want to include those who are forgotten or those who shy away. That's all what it's about, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, and all my mentors are male as well, and those who are providing me with work are men as well. And when I go out and work, obviously it's mostly men. I love working with women. It gives a whole other atmosphere when there are women on the team, but I definitely don't mind that there are only men. But of course, I mean, let's not forget, of course there is sexual harassment. Of course there is bullying against women because of their gender. Of course that happens. But I would say that it's not the majority problem in order to focus on why there are so few women. It's definitely what we talked about earlier, that it's up to us to step up, to raise our ambitions and get in there and say yes, then learn. Like Sir Richard Branson is saying, like, just take on the job, and if you don't know how to do it, well, then learn while you're doing it. It's the only way to move forward. Get out of your comfort zone. So it's definitely a change of mindset for women, first of all. But of course, we have the other issues, and we do deal with them, but we tend not in our community to put too much of a focus on it, because we rather want to have a professional focus on the job that we're doing. So that means we have a focus on how can we increase our skills, and where are the jobs, and how can you do the job the best way, and so on. That's rather what we want to focus on. But so I guess we okay, Mario, you're learning. Great. Yeah, we love to tell a story, because that's true. Men don't really know how it is to be a woman out there. But I can tell you about that festival I was mentioning before, the Spot Festival, where Spot Festival had hired WILM to come up with a female-only crew. So there were only women on stage, behind stage, not on stage. There were different artists, male, female, etc. But the whole crew was only women. And I was out front of house, and every time audience would come in, they would be looking at the front of house, and they would take pictures, and they would come up and they would ask, "Are you only women up there?" But it was all positive. They were just so surprised, because they haven't seen this before. And for the artists, it was great to see that you can actually hire a female monitor engineer or a female estates manager, because they hadn't seen it before. For the management as well, it was nice too. Because imagine this, we do so much for diversity on stage, and we're forgetting behind the stage. That means that female artist would get up on the stage, out on tour. She has a male crew with her, and she's coming out and she's meeting a male crew often. That's how it is, because we don't pay much attention to diversity backstage. So for us, that means that we haven't really moved forward with diversity if we're not doing it around the whole ecosystem.
Joseph is pointing out some good points here. About your first question, big tour leaders like Navigation taking steps to help the profession and be more visible to the next generation. I am not really sure about their policies or the way that they build their teams, but I know a lot of girls that work at Live Nation, so I don't. They're pretty inclusive. Your agency, I think.
Well, with Live Nation, WILM is actually in a dialogue, or we were before we closed down. Well, we were actually in a dialogue with Live Nation International about that we could host WILM projects at the festivals where we would invite female crew volunteers in, where we would have them partly be volunteers for the festival, and then partly have workshops and work with them and train them to be a great crew in the future. So we have been in dialogue with Live Nation, and we will continue this hopefully when the touring season opens up again.
And I think that mentioning Lizzo is a pretty good point. I think that diversity really comes from the employers as well, and the artists out there are the employers for a lot of us. So them taking that step to ask for more diverse crew is definitely very important and very encouraging for women out there. The same goes with festivals wanting to have more diverse crews. And
that's why we appreciate so much the Spot Festival was inviting us in to do this project with a female crew only. Because again, artists and management that were coming through our stage, they saw women. Because if you don't see it, how should you know that it exists? But again, Sana, the crew list is a great example of where you can find crew members.
Exactly. It's the inventory to where you can look for them, at least.
Marius is asking, when do you think this madness will end? You mean the lack of women in the industry, or you mean, of course, the corona? Well, matter of fact, I'm actually right now. I was supposed to go on a tour here in February, and that got canceled. So since Corona broke out here in Europe, I've actually been back to a second profession that I have. I'm also a nurse anesthetist. That means I work with COVID patients who are on life supports. And I would say that for the next couple of months, it's probably not going to look so good because we can't have more pressure on the different ICU units right now. So unfortunately, I think we have to be patient for a while. But while we are waiting to get back to our job, we might as well, like now, participate in the different conference out there, the webinars. I'm going to attend Wireless Workbench with Shure in a week. So pick up on all those webinars out there and reach out to different communities like Women in Live Music or what else is out there. Definitely work on your skills. There are plenty of opportunities, but what do you guys do during the downtime that we are having now? Like Xana, you're in Beirut, so
it's another set of problems here. It's a whole other thing. But I mean, we just have to wait. I think the hard part, I hope at least that the hard part has passed and that the duration that we have to wait is a bit shorter than the one that has already passed. Hopefully, so we just have to wait and see. I mean, some of us, like myself, it's not that we don't know how to do anything else. We don't want to do anything else. I don't want to be anything other than a live sound engineer and project tour manager. This is what I do. This is what I love. So it is very hard. It's been a hell of a year, I think. Trying to stay productive, trying to do anything that I can, but it's at the end.
So, but how do you stay productive?
I attended workshops. I'm actually teaching workshops also online and in person. So I'm trying to be involved in the academic side of things because it's a good alternative without straying far away from the actual work. It's cool. It's good. It does not make up for not being behind a mixer. I miss that a whole damn lot. I look at pictures and I want to cry, but I mean, that's just the way it is. It's not in our hands and it's going to be over soon, I'm sure, or I hope so.
Yeah, I dream a lot. Recently, I dream a lot about my colleagues, and actually, I was actually still preparing for this tour. I was supposed to go out on because we were hoping to the last minute that we could go out. So I had these weird dreams about that. I was trying to set up my console, and in one dream, it took me forever to set up my console. So I was actually falling asleep in my dream. And when I woke up, I saw that I've only managed to name the channels. And the band was on stage setting up their gear. And they were like, yeah, we're soon ready to do line check. And I was like, oh my God.
So I've had similar dreams, definitely, where I couldn't see the screen of the mixer or something like that. Or the power kept cutting, because that's not out of character for Lebanon, at least. It's all kinds of anxieties.
Yes, it's something that keeps coming back to me is that in my dreams is that I can't find the auxiliaries. So, oh, that's a nightmare. Julian is saying that he's online learning, doing online qualifications, trying to stay positive. Absolutely, that's great. I mean, Dante, if you're a sound engineer, Dante, just take level 3. That will keep you busy. Okay. Mario is staying at home. Yeah, most of us are. But actually in WILM, and I know also other places, we are trying to raise awareness about mental health. And I know that WILM is planning on creating some mental health first aids for crew. So you can learn how to take care of yourself, but also how you can learn to take care of your crew members out there. And I would say, I think we will all say that, the 3 of us will say that reach out to your old colleagues. Give them a call, ask them how they're doing, and try to talk not too much about how bad it is, but have a laugh about the good old days, and have faith that it will happen again. Of course it will, in a different way as the past session showed, but it will definitely happen again, because we can't live without these live events. Okay, and I think we're wrapping up now. So we got 3 minutes left. Is that correct?
I think so, before we're getting kicked out.
Yeah. It's been a pleasure, and we are so grateful that ISE Rise Spotlight invited us in on this. And we want to say hi to our friends at TPI as well, because TPI actually was the ones to inspire us for the WILM Awards. But that's a whole other story. But if you visit our social media, we will soon post the recording of WILM Awards that took place December 17, which was quite fun. I was in front of the camera, which I hated because I'm a sound engineer, so I'm not supposed to be here. And Alanna, you were behind the cameras because you were our video operator that day, and it was quite funny. Did you get to see it, Sana and Lebanon, at all?
It cut at some point, but I see most of it. Yes. Hopefully next year we'll all be in the same room during this.
Yeah, and then we'll have a big party, because we do something called Bullshit Bingo and Crew Quiz, and that's hilarious. And then, of course, we're handing out awards to awesome women out there, just to make aware of them, but also to push them out into the spotlight and make aware of themselves, but also to give them some knowledge and say you're good enough for what you're doing, because that's what is needed. And thank you for TPI for giving us that inspiration. We were actually invited on a TPI event some years ago, Hannah Broderick, the other co-founder, and I, and we were sitting having gin tonic and talking about the TPI awards, and that's when we thought, oh, we should have our own award as well. Okay, it's been great being part of this, and it's been great seeing you, Sana, in Lebanon. Alanna and I were here in Copenhagen, where it's been snowing outside, and we hope everybody is going to have a great evening. And we say thank you to Patty, Joe, Kim, myself. Okay, Alanna's on my computer. We're on her computer here. Lisa, Anastasia. Yes. Okay. Thank you. This is the end. So hope to see you guys out there on the road.